Hey everybody, welcome in. It's Saturday morning, quarter to eight. So yeah, hi. I've been spending a lot of time watching like the new movies from 2025, and it's mostly disappointing yet again. Um, but yeah, it's been to be expected, I guess. I just saw that what was it? The James L. Brooks movie, Ella McKay, which I saw the trailer a couple times seeing movies, I don't know, October, November, something like that. Maybe one battle after another, maybe something right after that because I didn't go to the theater again until early November, and I completely forget what it was that I saw. See, that's not good. It's not. I mean, there are things that I do that affect my memory, especially short-term memory, but, if I can't remember, it's not good. It's not a good sign. Anyway, that looked terrible. I mean, it was like some modern framing of like a Hillary Clinton type, like how do we make this type of woman relatable and likable? It's like, oh, she's got a family to deal with. It's like, yeah, okay. And she's the governor of her state. And she's it's like, oh shit. And you're just like you're watching this unfold in this like James L. Brooks kind of way. And it's like, oh, this is painful, guys. This is real. I mean, the guy who did broadcast news, the guy who did As Good as It Gets. I never cared for Terms of Endearment, but it has its fans out there. So, and longtime producer on The Simpsons. So, I mean, he's a guy that's funny. He's and can infuse the movie with some talent, with some um conflict, something that makes people want to watch it, follow the story, follow these characters. This is a movie I've not seen yet, and I'm talking about it. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that is. I don't think I'm going to rush out to the theaters to see it. It's got like a 24%, I believe, on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Um, so, but yeah, it's not great. Trevor's saying good morning. Good morning, Trevor. Um, I always forget we're in the same time zone. It's like Michigan and Pennsylvania being in the same time zone is bizarre to me, kind of, but that's fine. It's just geography, really, at a certain point. But um, yeah, I don't know, and no one's watching right now, so I'm not going to be like, hey, audience, what did you like that came out this year? Um, so listen, I do think that 2025 is actually better than 2024. Uh, I think that last year really was a bottom of the barrel year. I was hoping this year was kind of a recovery from that, was kind of a bounce back year because of the writer's strike. I think that impacted a lot of projects last year, but not really. I mean, I think that you have a few select filmmakers who have made an attempt, have made who had an idea at the right time that was able to, get their project made. But I mean, a lot of these movies aren't going to be profitable. A lot of these movies, um, even if they're better than the kind of franchise intellectual property stuff that gets put out there, more frequently than anything, even if they're better movies, people still aren't going to see them. So um, I'm gonna have obviously reveal it to, my top movie list here at the end of the month. Currently, it's kind of between Eddington, Begonia, F1, and Blue Moon. Those four are kind of jockeying for position. But yeah, I we'll see. I mean, there's stuff I haven't gotten to yet. I haven't gotten to Die My Love, which I don't have high hopes for, with a D plus cinema score there. Or Christie. I'm sure there's things I will like about Christie just because it's a boxing movie. But who knows? Who knows if it's more of a Tammy Faye kind of biopic, or if it is something engaging, if it's something actually worth paying attention to. But we'll see. The Golden Globe nominations don't really give me a whole lot of hope in terms of what's being put in the spotlight, what's being promoted, that kind of stuff. But You know, Golden Globes are not a great precursor anyway to the Oscars or to what's gonna even be nominated. Some of it is, but a lot of it isn't. We've seen that in a lot of years past. So, um, yeah, I think that people are just gravitating towards what they inherently like, whether it's like genre movies. So if you like horror movies, I'm sure you're pushing up stuff that came out this year that appealed to that. I like a lot of movies, obviously. I like all kinds of stuff, but it's like the satire in Eddington and in Begonia that I'm really kind of pushing to the forefront. I actually am one of the few critics, if you want to throw me in that category, that liked After the Hunt. That was a movie I was looking forward to all year, just because it looked like it was going to tackle a lot of the whatever Me Too, campus controversy stuff where, people make a claim that something happened, that they were sexually assaulted, they were discriminated against, something along those lines happened, and it gets brought into question that like, oh wait, this is just, I mean, you don't have any evidence, you could have completely made this up. Just because the person that you're accusing has a personality that is acerbic or aggressive or obnoxious doesn't mean that they're guilty of what you're accusing them of. And this ultimately could happen to anybody. Obviously, the movie goes deeper than that with the main character played by Julia Roberts, but it's an interesting sort of way of looking at that whole situation and what we've been dealing with the last decade on campus and power dynamics and all of that. But um, I do think that One Battle After Another will probably make its way into my top 10. Um, as a critic, there's this thing that happens where you have to review the movie. Okay. Let me repeat that. And it sounds obvious and okay. You have to review the movie. Don't review the controversy around it. Don't cover the speculation around it, the gossip around it, the way people project their own, you know, ego and narcissism onto the movie while talking about it. Okay. It's very important because the people who have reviewed this movie, especially from an ideological perspective. Okay. And that's really on more on the left that I'm talking about than on the right, but it exists on the right as well, where it's like, you viewed this as something other than what's what a movie inherently is, what's on the screen. Okay. Because, and I've tried explaining this ad nauseum. I did this in my review. I've done this a bunch on Twitter, but the fact is that this movie is a very humorous Xerox of the extreme tribalistic political ideologies that have existed in America the last 100 years. But it's lampooning almost all of it and all of them. even if even if Chase Infinity is the main character, so to speak, right? And I don't really know that there is a main character in this. Leo is certainly a main character too, maybe supporting character. I don't know, but Chase Infinity is what the movie lives through, um, and there is an earnestness there, but it's really in survival. It's really in trying to escape a crazed, maniacal, destructive force that is ironically responsible for her existing. So, I mean, again, even in the earnestness of that, it's kind of ironic. You know what I mean? So even that whole aspect of the plot and the drama of the movie, it's like, oh, it's a joke. You know what I mean? So and again, even from looking at it from the domestic terrorist, resistance bullshit, whatever, these people are made fun of. They don't have any rhetoric past what the Black Panthers. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard to really take it seriously. It was funny because it's so on the nose, because it's so like, "Oh, you're really that obvious and you're that much of a caricature of, this former identity that you still haven't moved past, that you still haven't created a new framework from." It's absolutely mocking these people and making fun of them and seeing them as idiots and seeing them as dumb children, just seeing what happens when, you do these violent, reactive, you know, raids on different compounds and different facilities and whatever. So it's just like, yeah, it never really resonated as like, "Oh, these are good people." It's like, no, again, a depiction is not an endorsement. You know what I mean? It's like, and ultimately, Tiana Taylor's character, who's been, lionized by so many people as an unapologetic, powerful black woman. It's like, yeah, she's so powerful, she abandoned her child. Good job, you stupid fucking bitch. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's like, what? Huh? What is the where and so that whole thing, that whole argument about this litany of movies that have made female characters into negative masculine, archetypes, I suppose, toxic archetypes, that's somehow good, that's somehow progressive. In what way? In what aspect is that, anything that you would want to gravitate towards? And I find this so interesting that it's like you have this subsection of whatever you want to call it, feminism, you know, whatever, subversive, leftism, or whatever you want to label it as. Because again, these labels just get so fucking tired. But this like, oh no, it's actually a good thing to be as negative and evil and as toxic as men have been. And it's like, no, it's not. You don't right or wrong by being wrong. That doesn't work that way. That's an inversion of what morality and ethics teach us ultimately. And so it's like, huh? So anyway, just moving past that whole fucked up mindset to even get there. And it's like, and at the end of the day, it's artistic expression, it's entertainment. I certainly don't view it like a lot of people on the right do, where it's endorsing, it's endorsing violence against the state, or against people you view as fascists or whatever. It's like, no, it's view. Paul Thomas Anderson made a movie that said this is what fascism would look like, and we're not there. We're not remotely there. You know. And even if he comes out years later and says, "Oh no, that's where we were headed," and da 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 blah 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 bullshit, you know, it's like, okay, sir. Well, guess what? I know that this is going to be controversial for some people here. But when you are finished with the movie, right? When the movie's done and it's in the can and it's headed to theaters, it's out of your hands. It's over. You can say whatever you want, right? It is your movie. But how people see it, how people perceive it, how people think about it and relay it and all that stuff, that's up to them. That's up to them to decide what a movie is. And a lot of directors obviously have an issue with that. And I would too. I'd have a real fucking problem with it. But this has been true for 100 years. Audiences decide what a movie is, individually and collectively. I don't like that. I mean, audiences are stupid. Collectively they're dumb. This is the thing. It's like I hate snobbery, but I also am a snob myself. You know what I mean? It's like it's be a snob for the right things. That's my whole, that's my argument. Uh anyway, it's just so it's fine. But I do think One Battle After Another is relatively well made. I think it is funny. I do think it mocks, both sides of these extreme political, tribalistic groups. I mean, the fascists, they're comically lampooned. Just like Tiana Taylor is just like Leo is, who's an idiot pothead who's trying to do the right thing, but he's an idiot. All these people are fucking idiots. That's the whole thing. They're dumb people. They're not heroic whatsoever. So, um and certainly again, you could view it as like even if Chase Infinity is going to dedicate her life to be a radical or a freedom whatever, to fight for freedom, so to speak. So all her mother has done, I mean, she abandoned her, so she gave her a lack of, I mean, she and provided her with a lack of identity. She also provided the framework to live a life of uh, criminal behavior and immoral actions and violent retribution, and not providing her child with a better life. No, in fact, she did the opposite. She condemned her to the same pattern of self-destructive behavior, you know? And I'm sure a lot of people will see that as, well, she's fighting fascism, so anything, it's like, oh, so the ends justify the means, right? You know, now who's the unartistic fucking retard? Who's the fucking moron now? You know what I mean? It's like you're an idiot. You're an absolute fucking idiot because you view movies through an ideological lens when art doesn't work that way, you fucking idiot. Propaganda does. You know what I mean? And see, and it's like, and I do the Barroom podcast with Society Reviews. By the way, Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Eastern on Rumble. And Jacob, he argues that these people don't see it that way, don't see it in the nuanced, take a step back, and it's like, okay, that they're dumb. I'm not gonna like get upset. All right, I'm not gonna get upset because a bunch of stupid people don't understand a work of art. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're stupid. That's okay. Or you need to watch it again, or you need to look at it from a different perspective. But, just you can't, who cares? Who cares? Okay, so don't listen to those critics who are absolute fucking idiots about this because it's just like, okay, that's fine. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot of talented people who made a relatively mediocre movie um, that stands out in a year of, relative crap. You know what I mean? It's just like, you look, I mean, The Long Walk, which by the way wasn't great, but I thought it was pretty good in a year once again that doesn't provide much. And that's kind of the general consensus here for 2025 is like it's better than last year was, I think. It is better, but again, people are just going to kind of push what they liked because nothing really stands out as an above the shoulders consistent, okay, that just floored me, like Oppenheimer did, like Killers of the Flower Moon did. At least for some people anyway. Jesus. The amount of people who just, I don't know. It's too long. Just shut up, please. Anyway. So, I mean, and I'll bring up what I've got so far. I mean, I haven't put a lot of movies in my letterboxed top movies of the year, but that's okay. And we'll take a look. I'm Peter Green, who was in The Mask and The Usual Suspects, died last night, or was found anyway last night. So if you guys know who that is. Trevor with another comment here. So F1 was the only thing I really liked this year, but I didn't see much that was new. Yeah, it's hard to sort of convince yourself to give things an opportunity at a certain point. It's kind of why I waited to the end of the year. I mostly saw classics in the movie theater this year. I mean, I saw a lot of great movies, especially in September. Vertigo 2001, A Clockwork Orange. I'm really just blanking now. That's great. Goodfellas, Taxi Driver. So some of those were just absolutely phenomenal. Actually, all the movies I saw that were classics were phenomenal. So I'm really grateful for that. Really grateful for that opportunity. But yeah, F1 I saw in the theater 3 times. I saw it another time here at home. Easily in my top 5 for the year. Very good movie. Check it out. I mean, really, just I just think it provides on pretty much every level, that you want. Very much a crowd pleasing, predictable, cliche driven type of sports drama movie, you know? Rocky in a race car is how I put it, but, um, I do think on in those elements, the way that story is structured, it really does a great job of hitting on those, emotionally cathartic moments and providing an arc for Brad Pitt's character, and and some people complained about, there's a lack of relationship or there's a lack of conflict, and it's like, I don't think so, between the 2 drivers, the young guy and Brad Pitt. I don't think so. I think that's fine. And, oh, his character wasn't really explored. It's like, I mean, it was. It's just like it's a type of movie and it's already 2.5 hours long, and, it does have certain things in it that if you look at it from a stereotypical point of view of, like, the model of the movie, the model of the Hollywood movie, and say, "Oh, there's the first female, like, um, data scientist when it comes to speed and blah, blah, blah," like, stuff like that feels a little shoehorned in, but that's just because we're in that era. We're in that time of because I think it was Carrie Condon, right? Carrie Condon, she was good. She's a good actress. She gave a good performance. Her character makes sense. There's that bit of that, sexual tension between her and Brad Pitt's character, and but it's like that it just works. Yes, it's a formula. Yes, it's predictable. It's all those things, but it actually delivers on all of those things, which, it may be so we've seen this before. It's like, yeah, you have. But movies are so bad that, like, that's not a given anymore. You know what I mean? It's just being able to appreciate a filmmaker like Joseph Kosinski wanting to provide that experience to audiences, and it being something genuine, and it being something, that again provides genuine thrills. So, I yeah, that was a wonderful, experience this year to see F1 in IMAX especially. And Begonia, I mean, Begonia is great, in my book because it's Yorgos Lanthimos being kind of, devilishly, clever and, just, like, laughing in the corner at how I don't know, how much we should really despair about our own race, about the human race, and how much we're probably not gonna get it. There's an opportunity, and there will be an opportunity at every turn until it's too late. But, yeah, I j I don't wanna spoil it too much here, but it's very funny, it's very dark. I think Emma Stone gives another great performance. I'm sure she'll be nominated for Best Actress once again. Jesse Plemons is excellent. There's really not much else to say there. I think it's a really interesting idea, that you might adapt out of a short story, which it seems like a lot of movies, thrive on that kind of, limitation and rigidity. But, yeah, it's clever, it's funny, it's sad ultimately, taking a step back and seeing its, commentary. But, it's a very effective satire, especially in 2025, of where we are and unfortunately probably where we're going. And, Blue Moon by Richard Linklater, um, kind of a one location 90-minute movie, where Ethan Hawke is playing wearing a partial bald cap and playing a flamboyant theatrical scion, I don't it's just like, it's okay, and Margaret Qualley looks fantastic once again in 1940s attire. It's just like there's this quote from Mad Men that Joan says, it's like, I bet you'd like to, drink a big glass of that." It's like, "Yes, yes, I would." And we'll leave it there. But, it's fine. I mean, we've all been there as men, whether you're young or in your 30s or older than that, we've all seen a woman at a time and a place, whether you know her or not, whether you get to talk to her or not. and you just, you fall in love a little bit. And you're never going to be together. You're not going to, it's not going to happen. But you get it. You know what I mean? You get that longing, you get that pining, you get that wishful feeling, wishful feeling, whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. Anyway, but yeah, it's, and you're just stopped in your tracks a little bit. So, um, and I was lucky in my life to actually at a time be with a woman like that. So, it's you always feel fortunate for stuff like that in your life. You know what I mean? You look back and you're like, "Holy shit, how did I pull that?" Anyway, moving on. Blue Moon is good. It's sad, it's funny, but yeah, and Ethan Hawke I think gives a career best performance. I would not be surprised if he wins the Golden Globe, the Oscar. I really think that he should be the front runner at this point. I know Leo is going to be there. I think here's the thing. I don't think Leo is best actor, right? He's going to be best supporting actor. I mean, I just don't think, but in everything I've seen, he's been nominated as best actor. So that's the thing. I don't know. Sean Penn will be best supporting actor probably for One Battle After Another. Um, but yeah, Blue Moon's a very nice movie. Check it out. Will probably be part of my top 5 unless something comes along and surprises me. But one movie I haven't talked about a whole lot that I am really looking forward to is this thing On, which is a Bradley Cooper directed movie starring Will Arnett and Laura Dern. So a certified movie for adults that I'm hoping is really good. I mean, it doesn't really seem like the kind of thing that gets nominated for Oscars, but who fucking knows? Who the fuck knows? So I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Marty Supreme by is it Benny Safdie? Is it the other Saft? Is it Josh? I don't know. I get them confused, honestly. But definitely looks like a return to Uncut Gems. The Smashing Machine was a big disappointment. Big disappointment. I can't even begin to talk about. I mean, okay, so the Smashing Machine, right? The Rock, Emily Blunt, he's playing Mark. Is it Mark Kern? I think that's his name, Mark Kern. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Um, I thought that it was a pretty solid performance by The Rock. I didn't necessarily think it really rose above sort of the standard fare that we've gotten from him. I mean, I thought it was a good performance, but largely just didn't, it didn't really stand out itself. Emily Blunt plays an absolutely awful, toxic, stupid woman who gets in the way at every turn, who becomes a hindrance, who becomes a burden, just constantly in the way, constantly complaining. And I mean, ultimately, he loses because of her. So, oops, spoiler. Sorry, guys. So even if that's his story, it's just you kind of wonder at a certain point, like, why is this being made? You know, not to mention that there is a documentary that supposedly is vastly superior that everybody should watch. So, eh, I mean, it's just a forgettable kind of movie, and it's like you wonder if Benny Safdie, I think it was Benny Safdie, just sleepwalked through production and just there's no life behind this movie whatsoever, no artistic point of view. It's really a piss poor effort, in my opinion. Somebody that uh, is supposed to be a competent filmmaker. He seems a little busy there with his Showtime shit and other projects. So we'll see about Marty Supreme. I'm excited about that one. I think Timothy Chalamet showed that he should be taken seriously after last year with A Complete Unknown. So I'm looking forward to that. But really not much else. I again, I've been watching a lot of Netflix movies, for 2025 releases. Jay Kelly. I mean, again, it's Noah Baumbach doing his Woody Allen, Peter Bogdanovich, New York, Hollywood industry movie. Um, uh, it's fine. It's just, you know what I mean? It's a forgettable kind of watch where George Clooney plays a fictionalized version of himself, who's, obviously he's more selfish than I really am. Yeah, shut up. Shut the fuck up, George. But and there's this really nice montage at the end of him and his career and whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's a nice moment. It really is a nice, like, little sentimental moment, but it's a little, it's too little too late. Adam Sandler is fine as, like, basically playing a version of Noah Baumbach, and he's married to Greta Gerwig, and you see Greta Gerwig's and Noah Baumbach's kid in the back and kind of make, saying funny things. And it's just like, it's this indulgent fucking, like, okay, we get it. Netflix paid you a bunch of money to fuck around for a week and to craft this movie around George Clooney, and it doesn't work. You know what I mean? And I said this in my little mini review on Twitter, but it's like, I'd like to be able to give it its flowers or whatever, but it's just not enough, and poorly constructed and poorly put together while looking glossy and clean. And Billy Crudup's in it, and he's an actor that George Clooney, he took his opportunity. It's like, give me a fucking break, dude. I know you need some kind of conflict here, okay? But it's just like, it's also irrelevant. Here's the thing. The audience decides if you're a star. Okay? You can be the greatest actor in the world, doesn't matter. Being a star is separate from being an actor. Some stars are great actors. It's rare. It is rare. Leo is one of them. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of those guys. But you have guys like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is a star. He's not a great actor. He's never been a great actor. Guess what? He'll never be a great actor. That doesn't mean there aren't roles where he actually does, he's acting his ass off. But, like, when he's a star, when he's the star attached to that vehicle, especially if it's a franchise, he's iconic. He doesn't have to be a thespian. That doesn't mean he doesn't give amazing performances in things like Eyes Wide Shut, Vanilla Sky, Magnolia, but when he's in those other movies, he's being asked to do something different. And you give me an actor, I will tell you what they are. And it's easy to see, because it's like, so there's incredible actors who will never be stars. They just won't, because they don't fit the profile of what a star needs to be and what they mean to an audience. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis. I mean, none of these guys have really ever been good actors. I'm sorry. Like, Bruce Willis might have a role here or there that stands out or something, but I mean, come on. you know. Um, but then you have guys like Nicolas Cage who occupy some weird fucking. I mean, it is role dependent with Nicolas Cage. Let me tell you that. And even when he's a star, he's such a weird guy. He's such a weirdo. And I'm like, why is I mean, that guy is like an actor who's like, why are you even magnetic? Like, why do people even want to watch you? You're so weird. You are so weird. Take a step back and look at Nicolas Cage, and you're just like, yeah, that guy's an absolute weirdo, and that's fine because it works for him. It works in the roles, like, and he makes it his own. So whatever. I'll be honest. Nicolas Cage is one of those guys that, even if you love him, and that's fine, fair enough, there's really only a handful of performances that I love. Outside of that, he's just kind of a weird dude to me. You know what I mean? And not like in a Christopher Walken way where he makes it iconic. He's just weird. And again, maybe that's why he has a fan base. Maybe that's why he became a star or whatever. But like I think of Leaving Las Vegas, I think of Bringing Out the Dead, maybe Con Air. Yes, I just said Con Air. I have to really think about this. Like he was okay in The Rock, you know what I mean? He was okay. Played a relatively normal dude. But yeah. Yeah, no, and that's part no, and this is what happened is that like when he had to do all those movies because of tax purposes or he got in trouble with the IRS or needed to make money real quick, it's like, look, I get it, man. I understand. But there's stuff where he's just been legitimately bad. Like Kiss of Death. The remake of Kiss of Death from 1947, you know, the iconic movie where Richard Widmark pushes the old lady in a wheelchair down the steps. Like one of the greatest scenes in movie history, by the way, in my opinion. Gets remade. That scene's not in it. And Nicolas Cage is playing a Russian mobster. A Russian mobster with red hair and a goatee wearing a wife beater the entire fucking movie. Walking around with his arms out, you know, like he's like he's Tony Soprano or something. Like it's like holy shit, dude. It's like, you know what I mean? And that's only one example. And just take the 90s. Don't even go into the 80s and like the, you know, Jesus Christ, man. You know, with his very young performances and stuff like that. And it's like, okay. And listen, one of my favorite followers, one of my favorite accounts that I follow on Twitter, um, loves Nicolas Cage, like absolutely loves him. So I get it on a certain point. I've gone off this tangent on Nicolas Cage now, so you know it's great. Who, by the way, gave one of the best performances of his career last year in Long Legs. I don't care, and I've seen that. That's movie's divisive. Apparently, there's some people who loved it, which I did. There are some people like doesn't make sense. It's stupid. Long Legs is not scary. Looks like a fucking cross dresser. You know what? Whatever. I really liked it. I thought he gave an incredible performance that it took me forever to realize that was him, you know, and not forever, but like 10, 20 minutes on screen where it's like, oh shit, that's fucking Nicolas Cage. So, you know what I mean? There's so little to get excited about. And this is a refrain and I'm beating a dead horse with it, but I know how bad it's been. Okay. I hate horror movies. Generally, as a rule, I hate horror movies. And there were like 5 horror movies in my top 10 last year. That's what I'm talking about. It's just like, look, I've got to take what I can get where I can get it. The Beekeeper last year was in there, which, by the way, was much better than A Working Man, that Jason Statham movie that came out this year. Which, look, if you liked it, that's fine. Again, we're just going to keep repeating myself. There's not much to get excited about. So I'm not even going to throw tomatoes at people for their fucking top 10s anymore. Even though I did make fun of Sasha Stone pretty badly this week. Because she didn't like F1, but she liked all kinds of terrible shit that came out, like Sinners. Sinners was so bad. Here, we're going to talk about why Sinners doesn't deserve any praise, even in a bad year. Okay. Because, you know, at its best, it's a new spin on a tired vampire story that did not really deliver in the way that it should have. You know, this is supposed to be a fun popcorn eating, violent, gross out extravaganza kind of thing. Like From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn was such an important movie to me as a kid that like I was on vacation. I remember this. I was on vacation in Ocean City, Maryland when I was like 8. So it would have been like 1999. And it was like Fox Night at the Movies. And it was From Dusk Till Dawn. Obviously heavily edited. But That was such a fucking fun ass movie, especially as like discovering it, seeing it as a kid, basically getting into exploitation movies before you know what exploitation movies are. Amazing, just amazing. And like Sinners was bled, ha ha ha, bled of all of that. It had no creative energy, it had no momentum. It took an hour to get started. It took a fucking hour to get started. And then it never missed an opportunity to talk about cunnilingus. So, and it's like, look, you can do these things in fun, creative, cheeky, colorful ways, and none of it was done that way. It was like the most obvious try hard, like, we're proud of being black. We're so black. And it's like, we get it, Ryan Coogler. You suffer from an identity crisis because you were raised by white people or something. I don't know. I have no idea what his issue is with fucking Fruitville Station and Black Panther and the fucking Creed movie. And like, we get it. You're inadequate. You feel inadequate. I'm sorry that you feel like such a insignificant fucking flea. I mean, really, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but it comes across a little too clearly in your movies. So anyway, and just like the emphasis put on the one brother's love interest being a big woman. It's like, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? What does that have to do with making an interesting movie? What does that have to do with what people want to see? It's like, okay, so you're catering to a very small section of a minority population. Like, okay, for so it's like there's that, and then there's the whole implication, and it's not really an implication, it's sort of an obvious, like, hey, let's beat the audience over the head that white people are evil, racist vampires. And they pollute everything they touch. And our wonderful, magical, musical culture has been stolen by these vampires. It would be funny if it wasn't taken so seriously by like these people on Twitter and by the entertainment press. And it's like, you people are so fucking ridiculous. You are so racist and ridiculous. And you want people to take this seriously as an art form. You want people to take the, and then it has, okay. I haven't even gotten to the worst scene in movies this year in Sinners. It's in Sinners. It's that musical, like, sorry, it's that like musical historical like breakdown of time and going through the ages of all the influences that that the black artist and musician is responsible for, and how it's brought people together. And it's like it's okay, it's the biggest fucking like circle jerk of like a racial contribution to culture in the history of cinema. Like it's the most egotistical, what is it, that term I love using, navel gazing fucking tokenism bullshit that I've ever seen in a movie. Okay? I, all of the great filmmakers that are no longer here, they are turning over in their graves for that scene having been. And look, there's a lot of movies, there's a lot of trash, there's a lot of terrible shit out there, but the fact that this was a Warner Brothers released studio movie in 2025 should tell you everything about why the film industry is cratering, is failing. And yes, to be honest, Sinners did make a considerable amount of money. I don't know that it necessarily posted a profit, knowing what the economics are, 2.5 times the budget, theaters taking 50%, but it did decently for what it cost and the people that went to see it. It just and I went to the theaters to see it, to be fair, because I wanted to give it a fair shake. I knew going in I didn't like Ryan Coogler. I knew that Michael Jordan was a subpar actor. That the cast, other than Jack O'Connell, who by the way has been a fantastic actor for over a decade. Watch Starred Up, by the way, from 2013. It's a prison movie. It is fantastic. But yeah, I mean, just kind of a lackadaisical poorly made, embarrassing, narratively embarrassing movie that doesn't really look that great either. So there just really was nothing for me to kind of latch onto there. I would rather see Dawn of the Dead, 10 out of 10, you know. So, but you know, and that Weapons was another one where look, look, I shit on horror movies anyway, so again, it was probably gonna be a long shot that I liked, and I didn't really like Barbarian, Zach Krager's last movie. It was okay. I thought it was pretty good up until the reveal of like Justin Long. It's like it just felt incredibly try hard with the whole like, oh, he really is a sexual you know, he really is a fucking sexual assaulter. He really did is a piece of shit. And it was just like, okay. It's like it's very dumb. It's very much like, okay, great. Yes, you're a good moral movie, Barbarian. We don't care. Just give us a fucking horror movie. And with Weapons, it's like there's some very weird stuff going on with the PR with Weapons right now, with Amy Madigan claiming to be an other, like the LGBTQ community, and it's like, okay, you that's not the comparison you want to make with your character, lady. Okay, let's sidestep this fucking landmine. It's like, what are you saying? What are you saying, lady? Like, I love Field of Dreams, so I love Amy Madigan. But like, and by the way, Gone Baby Gone, great movie. But come on, like, just let's move past this, please. So, look, if Weapons was on your list of your favorite movies of the year, that's great. You know, the assault rifle above the house that Josh Brolin goes into, I'm like, okay, we get it. Guns are bad. Christ, dude. I implore filmmakers to get the fuck out of Hollywood, man. It is making your movies look, sound, and be executed like shit, man. Because you don't talk to anybody else. Woo, buddy. So I don't know. Not much to talk about, guys. Yeah, and you know, Cassie, you know, brings up you know, she saw more classics than regular movie. Yeah, it's what it is. I saw a bunch last year, this year. So you know, you fill the time where you can. I mean, go to see what's going to be worth your time. That's all I can say. I take a shot on new movies because I'm like, I like to talk about movies in general. I like to keep up with what's going on, but it's getting harder and harder to stomach some of these releases. You know, it really is. But whatever. I love movies, so here I am. I'll keep going back till they close them, I guess, or it just becomes so bad that you know I don't really have any choice but to stay home. But and you know, I'm sure Regal will continue to have those series, but I mean, I would just re-release old movies at this point because you know, Ella McKay, that's what you think people are going to want to go see. Okay, girl boss governor who has to deal with family, the stresses of family life. It's like, okay, great. Yeah, that sounds like a disaster. But just scrolling through Twitter here. Um that's funny. Leaving Las Vegas is showing up now that I was talking about it. Yeah, that's fine. It's not. It's just that's weird. Anyway. Oh man. I'm going to bring up my list here for 2025. You can take a look. All right. I mean, there's stuff. I mean, I'm sure I've forgotten about for the year. I mean, you can see it's pretty. Yeah, no. And look at that bottom row. This is what I'm talking about. So you've got Black Bag, which was not bad, but you know, That's the kind of year it's been. Is this small espionage thriller where these intelligence agents kind of grill each other. Um, by Steven Soderbergh is one of the best movies of the year. I watched it with my parents; they really liked it. Um, yeah, you've got the Ballerina movie with Anna de Armas, which, a lot better than the coverage it got. Let me just say, if you like the John Wick movies, check this out. It's actually pretty fucking good. The choreography's there. I really do think Chad Stileski, however you fuck you say his name, did a great job with the reshoots. That movie needed extensive reshoots. It was apparently a disaster. So I really liked it. I thought it was pretty good in terms of the type of actioner it is. The Naked Gun remake, look, it is not a great movie, but I just loved that you had something cracking stupid jokes again because it's been such a long time. You have the Mission Impossible movie, which I thought was a really nice end to that franchise. Look, I am the biggest critic of intellectual property and franchise movies, but the last four movies of the Mission Impossible series, when Christopher McQuarrie took over, watch those movies. Watch them um, one after the other because that is how you make a franchise action movie like piece of intellectual property. The choreography is fantastic. The stunts are great. Their stakes. Yes, it is very reductive studio action movie storytelling. You know what I mean? Yes, it's that kind of movie. That's what it is as a package, of course. You know what I mean? But for what it is, it executes those elements so damn well. And that's the appreciation that I had to kind of learn about for this Mission Impossible series. I think the James Bond movies suck. I hate the Fast and Furious movies. I hate anything that's just pure dumb excess for the sake of excess that is airless CGI crap. Not interested. But the stunts that Cruise does, the things that he is kind of able to try. Again, the fight choreography, the commitment to the storytelling and to telling this massive scale kind of espionage, almost soap opera. I don't know. I came to really respect it by the end. And I think that, if you appreciate the stunts, if you appreciate some of the crazy places these movies have taken audiences, this final chapter really is worth checking out. And I don't know. I think that it definitely gets a green light for me as one of the better movies of the year. Now, again, it just comes down to that there's just not much to really talk about. Um, Warfare was another Alex Garland movie with Ray Mendoza. Pretty good movie. You know, it's gruesome, it's harrowing. There's really not much to talk about. It's, these guys are bunkered down in a bad situation and they're trying to get the fuck out of it. But it's told with kind of this gritty realism. It is unflinching, disturbing. So if you're into that, if you're into, war dramas, military thrillers, definitely check it out. I certainly think it's better than something like Black Hawk Down, which certainly has gotten some notice lately. Uh, so check it out if that's your thing. The Long Walk I was just talking about. I think that Cooper Hoffman does a great job. Philip Seymour Hoffman's son in this movie, and certainly newcomer. And I'm gonna have to look his name up. David Johnson was also very good. Wasn't David Johnson the guy who was in? Wasn't he the android in the Alien movie that just came out last year? Uh-huh. Yep. That's funny. He got all that praise for that Alien movie, which fucking sucked. He was very good in this. He was very good in The Long Walk. I don't think he's going to get any awards consideration, but he was fantastic. I thought he was very good. So, and then the movies we've talked about already: F1, Eddington. And obviously I have to, make up the rest of my list here, but yeah. That's it for 2025, guys. That's where we're at right now. I'm just scrolling through my little Twitter movie feed here. But Pleasantville and gotten just got over Noirvember here, so but yeah, and this is the thing people were freaking out about is that Variety listed its best movies of 2025. Peter DeBruge and Owen Gleiberman, two critics that have been around for basically 40 years, 50 years. So, and here's Peter DeBruge's top 10. So we'll just go through this. Dreams, haven't seen it. One Battle After Another, we talked about it. God, 28 years later, and again, I'm hard on horror movies, but this just, I had a really hard time paying attention, giving a shit, connecting. I mean, there's just a lot of, thought there was a lot of problems 28 years later. And I don't know how much Danny Boyle directed it because it just looks like shit. I mean, there's some real technical problems with some of the compositions and landscapes, but whatever. I mean, enough people liked it where, enough people liked it where it's getting multiple sequels. So, we'll see if that series ends up getting better. But I pretty much just like the original 28 Days Later. Marty Supreme. Can't see that one until Christmas Eve. I haven't seen it. Train Dreams. So Train Dreams is another movie I've seen that's probably going to end up in my top 10. So this movie will have as many fans as it does. Oh shit! I gotta start. There we go. There we go. Now I'm actually sharing it. But Train Dreams is one of these movies that will have as many people who love it as many people who hate it. So if you are familiar with the work of Terrence Malick, this is very much what feels like a copy of that aesthetic. Voiceover heavy. Generally, it's not the voice of the character. It's someone narrating the story, the character's thoughts, what they're doing, motivations. And this can be done well. It can be done poorly. It really just it depends on your tolerance for it. Now, I tend to love this kind of thing. I tend to think it's lyrical. I tend to think it's poetic. I think it provides almost a paintbrush landscape of the vision of the creator. However, it can be a problem. It can be an over reliance on expositional explanation, expositional reliance, an over reliance on telling the audience everything instead of showing them, which is what cinema is all about, And so, of course, it's going to rile some people the wrong way. I think it's lyrical. I think it's beautiful. This is on top of the movie being set in, like heavily forested Eastern Washington and the lakes and all of the incredibly beautiful naturalistic landscapes of the area. And, the story is well told. It's beautiful. It's hopelessly beautiful. But it's also that this tells the story of a tragic event and of a man who loses everything that's dear to him. And for that, it's, there's enough there to sort of connect to and to feel something for this character you spend so much time with. It's 2 hours long, maybe is a little longer than it needs to be. It's adapted from a novel, but it has this sensitivity to it. It has a real insight into the character, a man really seeking peace, seeking to really fill this hole that he has in his life. And It's just quietly brilliant in that narrative artistic way. Now, to a lot of people, this is kind of the definition of what a pretentious art movie is. So, like, I listen to me. I understand. I understand. But what is being touched on is something that Thoreau and Walden and, Ralph Waldo Emerson talked about, and why they went out to nature to try to find peace and find this connection to something larger than themselves. You know what I mean? And it's also about how, post, the industrialization period, how it kind of erased man's connection to nature at large, and how it takes this willful effort to get away from it, to get away from what people lovingly call progress, you know? So, um, so I think that there is a sort of natural inclination for people who are sensitive to anything that's critical of modern life or urban locations, let me put it that way, to hate on it as kind of being a piece of reactionary art. It's like, I'm sorry, but if you view Train Dreams as a piece of reactionary art because it wants to reject modernity, man, maybe you aren't paying attention to what most people are experiencing in terms of the modern condition. So that's what I'll say about Train Dreams. It'll probably make its way into my top 10, maybe my top 5. I do think it's a beautifully stated work of art. Absolutely. President's Cake, haven't seen it. Steve, I haven't seen it. It's another Netflix one. Here's Owen Gleiberman's top 10, One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value. I'll watch Sentimental Value. I don't really want to see it, to be completely honest, because its director seems insufferable. Begonia, we talked about. Mission Impossible, we talked about. Weapons, Black Bag. Oh, God. Nouvelle Vague. Okay, so I guess it's not a bad movie, but it's Richard Linklater talking about, or making a movie about, Jean-Luc Godard's early career while he was shooting Breathless. Again, I couldn't care less. If you know the story, you know the story. You don't really need to see a biopic basically about it. It's beautifully shot in black and white. It's got all the famous faces and, Romer and Truffaut. And you've got some, you know, what's her face? Jean, yeah. She was in Breathless. I'm just trying to think of her fucking name. Jean Seberg, and you've got, Belmondo there, and it's fine. You know what I mean? But it's like, this is a TV movie. This doesn't has no reason it should exist. I mean, I don't want to say it's a waste of time, but it does feel like that. It really does. So we'll jump back here to Twitter here. You'll have to excuse my terrible stream managing skills here. That's how you share. Anyway, let's take a look. I'm sure a prospective audience loves this. That's a way of developing talking points. But yeah, I didn't listen to the Bret Easton Ellis podcast this week, so he had somebody new on. Obviously, it wasn't Quentin Tarantino. So, and I pretty much talked him to death last week, so we don't need to go into that. There's Marty. There's Alan Rickman calling off Christmas. The Shop Around the Corner. Very good movie. Much better than You've Got Mail. All right. It's not important. I mean, I'm going to go just real quick. I always like to kind of scroll through Variety and Hollywood Reporter to see, just see what the talking points are by all the fucking idiots in town. And I mean, there's so much bullshit, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm really excited for the Odyssey. That looks incredible. I can't imagine what Christopher Nolan's gonna do with that. That is truly something epic. So I just hope it's good, man. I just hope it's not like a huge misfire. All right. Well, there's really not much to talk about in terms of movies, in terms of movie news, and that's fine. We're winding down the year. 2025 has been better than 2024, I guess. But again, I chalk that up to a handful of directors who had a clear artistic vision, wanted to communicate something. Um, Man, I'm so grateful we got Eddington. I'm so grateful we got F1 and Begonia. Um, these smart movies, these movies that strike a chord in terms of entertainment, in terms of, hey, I want to return to that. I want to rewatch that. I want to see if I miss something. And it's such a wonderful feeling to have that. Because there's so much crap. There's so much crap out there. I mean, I just, I just want something to invest in. There's a handful of documentaries that I'm going to be watching. I want to see Megadoc, which is about the making of Megalopolis. I want to see the Scorsese documentary that's on Apple TV Plus. Um, I mean, just real quick, I only have a handful of 2025 movies yet to watch. I mean, I'm almost done. So, I mean, it's things like, should I make myself watch Honey Don't? I mean, I love Margaret Qualley, but I really do not want to see another, Drive Away Dolls. So yeah, I'm pretty much all caught up actually. I mean, I've got some stuff to watch that's certainly not going to make my list. I know it won't, you know, and that's not why I'm a snob. Predator Badlands, no matter how good it is not making my list. You know what I mean? So it might make my list of the worst of the year, but and yeah, Frankenstein is not, no, don't watch it. I mean, if you like Guillermo del Toro, maybe you will like Frankenstein. And I do think Jacob Elordi gave a pretty good performance uh, as Frankenstein's monster, but uh, really just not much to talk about. And you look at what's coming. I mean, remember when Christmas was a big release? Like I'm actually interested. I can't even think about what's releasing on Christmas this year. I know Marty Supreme is. But I'm just curious here. Oh, okay, that's right. It's the Avatar movie. I always forget that movie's coming out. It's like, oh yeah, it's like forgettable. Oh yeah, that's right. All right, the Knives Out movie, Anaconda. Oof. It's weird that Marty Supreme isn't listed. It's like the biggest fucking. Here, let's just go to IMDb. Take a look. Take a look. All right. Okay. Well, not a whole lot. Laura Poitras has a new doc out called Cover Up. Uh, Oh, Jesus. Kate Winslet has a direct. Oh, no. Oh, no. Goodbye, June. Follows a group of fractured siblings who must come together under sudden and trying circumstances. Yeah, that sounds awful. Directed by Kate Winslet, starring Helen Mirren, Timothy Spall. Okay. It's like, okay. Well, there you have it, guys. I still have yet to see Hamnet, that Oscar Beatty Shakespeare thing, and Christie, Marty Supreme, and Is This Thing On? Those are really the final four I have yet to see for 2025. Other than that, I have pretty much gone over the top movies in my 2025 list. And this is not in order, but we'll do it here. So yeah, not in order yet. I will share that on Twitter and in my stream here at the end of the year, but we'll go top 10. And again, not in order. Begonia, F1, Eddington, Blue Moon. See, I can't even fucking remember. Train Dreams. See, I have to cheat. It's terrible. The Long Walk. Black Bag. One Battle After Another. I feel like I'm forgetting something I actually liked. That's terrible, isn't it? That's all right. It's not final yet, but yeah. So basically, we're making our way here. We're making our way towards the end of the year. Sinners was pretty bad. It'll probably be on my worst of the year list. So there's that. Superman will certainly be on my worst of the year list. Yeah, I might just watch Honey Don't just for shits and giggles, just to see how bad it is. But I don't have a lot of hope there. And listen, for what it's worth, like a big part of that is like, Mark Qualley's character is gay, and I mean, look, I have a terrible track record, of being of that happening to me. Okay, of being like into, I don't know how I want to put this in a politically, so I'm just gonna say it, being kind of into dykey looking women, right? With the hopes that they're straight. Now it's like a weird 65-35, you know what I mean? It's not like quite 50-50, and it's not like 75-25. It's a weird ratio. So, but anyway, moving on. So I mean, I get part of that like thing that's in that movie, or that I've seen in the trailer, of like Charlie Day hitting on this obviously gay woman or whatever, but it's like, whatever, it's fine. We're all just looking for something that we've created in our own minds anyway. So anyway, stop self-incriminating myself here and end the stream, but I've been talking for 73 minutes. Pretty good. Anyway, I'm signed up for StreamYard for an entire year now, so I have to justify that purchase by streaming more. So, look out for these. I just try to do it when I have time. Usually that's on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. Now that my job has we're done with our busy season, I have more time on Fridays. I have more time on the weekends. So I will be around more often. And I really want to get to writing about movies next year, and just really make that, because, I put my mind to it. I lost 40 pounds. I gained 15 pounds of muscle in the last 6 months. I've done great there. Now I want to put that kind of focus and drive in to my creative outlets, into my writing. So, I can be more engaged. And so even though things are shitty, it's like, so what? So double down on your effort in calling them shitty, and make more effort in seeing things that don't suck, and saying, hey, this is why this worked. This is why, this is what movies could return to if they're interested in sustaining themselves as an industry. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. It's my first weekend or first day off here in 13 days. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna watch a lot of movies. Gonna finish up 2025 stuff. I know Christie's out, so I'll definitely catch that. And then tomorrow is football as always. But I will try to get some movies in. My to be list is 300 movies deep, so a lot to watch there. But just follow me over my Twitter. It's Rob_Motto. You can find me over on YouTube, even though I really don't use it now. I am actually getting these streamed there as well. Though I'm sure it'll get flagged because I used some language earlier. But you can find me at Rob Motto Movies, just all one thing. Yeah, that's me. Or not. I don't know. Just that's me over there. And then and then you can also find me on Instagram at Rob_Motto as well. I post all the movies I watch. I like to talk about them frequently. So I'll see you guys around. I'll see you guys later. Have a good weekend. Take it easy. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.